Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news as we get an update from Fabrizio Romano in relation to Gyokeres, which completely dispels the story last night coming out from L'Equipe. I said, are they reliable? Somebody in the chat said, no, they're only the biggest historical institution for sport in the world, Mark. Of course they're true. Well, they're not. We'll talk about that. Also, Rashford to Bayern Munich moves closer. Sancho to Juventus moves closer. And Mbeumo third bid moves closer at the snail rate of I'll ruin that one. Just like United. Mbeumo's third bid and move to Manchester United moves forward at the rate of a snail's shit. Apparently, the third bid's going in today as per a United website. Yeah, that's exactly how Manchester United do their business. They ignore David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano and everyone else. They ring up a random website and say, today the third bid's going in. Just the same as they get in contact with aggregators and say, this is what's happening with a deal. I mean, I just don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. A few other bits to get into as well. Could we be doing a swap deal with Sancho and Juventus? And I want to start off with this Gyokeres deal because we're our own entity. There are imitators out there. There are haters out there. There are people who love this community. There are people who hate it. Welcome to the world. But we have our own ecosystem here. And we were talking about this Gyokeres story last night, weren't we? I've just got to say straight away, why are you live at 10:30? Made a mistake. Basically, Ray, you're blocked. Bye. Made a mistake. I should have told you I wasn't doing a 10 o'clock show this morning. It was 10:30 because it was Seb's Sports Day, which happens every June. So that's why I'm a little bit late. I've just literally done my own little run from the Sports Day. So I've just got back from that. What I would say is, love Sports Day. Seb's very competitive. A lot of his mates are very competitive. But is it not, in my opinion, it is a fair reflection of modern society that you go to a sports day, you get put into teams, and basically you are not showing sporting excellence. You're basically putting them into teams to make it fair. And it ends up frustrating the people who are good. And I just don't think... I've had my moan about Sports Day for years. I don't know what we're doing in this country. We are teaching kids that it doesn't matter if you don't win. And if you're crap at something, someone that's better than you can get dragged down to your level. This will not work when you go into the real world. You know, I don't run the United Stand with somebody shit who doesn't do anything and then at the end of the week say, don't worry about it, we'll share the money and we'll share the praise and we'll share everything. No, the strongest survive, the talent rises to the top. You play for Manchester, well, no, Man United's a bad example. Liverpool don't win the league and then put a couple of shit players in the team and say, let's all do it together. You get the best. And I just don't understand why we do that. Anyway, rant over. Morning, Mark. My two countries, USA and Guatemala, face each other off in the Gold Cup semis today. Can't decide who to support. Let us know, King Nando. We're all waiting on that one. Anyway, let me get straight into the news. So last night we were talking about how L'Equipe was saying that Arsenal had advanced further forward on a signing of Gyokeres, which obviously has a direct impact on who we go for as a striker. Manchester United moving slowly is not a surprise, but we have got to sign a striker and we don't know who that's going to be at the moment. We know that there's been some approach to Ollie Watkins, but Gyokeres is still a player that Man United are interested in. Fabrizio Romano has provided an update on L'Equipe and has basically said there are no changes in Arsenal's approach for Gyokeres. There are no advances. There are no further. The deal is not any closer. If anything, it's what it's always been. How can Arsenal advance this deal when Gyokeres and Sporting haven't even resolved what the deal would be? So yes, there's talks between Arsenal and Gyokeres. There has been for a while. Yes, Arsenal would be in front of Man United because of Champions League football, but Arsenal certainly haven't abandoned Sesko. They certainly haven't moved forward with Gyokeres. So actually, L'Equipe have got it completely wrong, which is what I sort of said last night. But some of you were saying, no, they could be right. And I know they have been right on something, but why would they be right? Why would French L'Equipe know that Arsenal are moving forward on Swedish Gyokeres, who plays in Sporting? So, look, take it as a positive, take it as a negative. The striker situation for Manchester United isn't moving forward. Delap was plan A. He plays for Chelsea. Gyokeres is plan B. Nothing's happening there at the moment. Plan C, Ekitike, we can't afford and is probably going to Liverpool. And Ollie Watkins, Plan D, is very divisive. So that's where we are in relation to that at the moment. But if you saw the story last night about Gyokeres advancing to Arsenal, it isn't advancing. It is where it was a couple of days ago. And I wish it was advancing because I would like to see Manchester United homing in on a striker sooner rather than later. But what I will say about the Watkins deal, I was speaking to somebody last night who's a Villa, quite close to Villa, and they were saying, I wouldn't expect Watkins to go to Manchester United very quickly. It's well known that Emery would like to move him on, but Emery would like to move Martinez, their goalkeeper, on. And he can't move them on without getting a good price because he needs to replace them. Aston Villa had to sell Douglas Luiz last year, even though they qualified for the Champions League. Aston Villa are not like Chelsea, who can just offload a player and buy another 3. Aston Villa would need to utilise funds that they sell a player. Basically, if Villa sell Martinez, they need money to replace Martinez. If Villa sell Watkins, they need the money to replace Watkins. So it's not like they're going to do anybody any favours. So even if Man United started negotiating with Villa today, they will want a good fee. Man United will want him cheap, and it will go on for a long time. So basically what I was told last night is, even if United did move forward on Watkins, they haven't had any talks with Villa yet. You look at how long it's taken with Mbeumo, it could take 6-7 weeks for Watkins to Manchester United anyway, because Villa won't do an easy deal. So there we go. God bless you, Mark. You look hotter than the sun, says Sir Jimmy. Thank you. It's a bit cooler today, so thank you very much for that. Instead of bad business, Ineos doing no business, says Space. And Mark, my 2 country... I've done that one there as well. Okay, let's move on a little bit. So we have got some fresh news coming in this morning around numerous things. Can you just talk about Mbeumo very quickly? I will talk about Mbeumo, but I'm just very wary that if I talk about Mbeumo, you'll just get flooded with no news then. No news then. So I actually want to bring in, as that Gyokeres story is new news from Romano, I want to bring in some new news at the start of the show because I get fed up of... I mean, the Mbeumo story is just a joke. So let's start off talking about Marcus Rashford. So basically what's happening is Bayern Munich want to buy a winger. They'd like to sign Nico Williams, but he's probably going to head off to Barcelona. They would like to sign Luis Diaz, but Liverpool this morning have literally just said that there is no... that Luis Diaz is not for sale. So Marcus Rashford is on the list for Bayern Munich, but he would be behind people like Nico Williams, Luis Diaz, who appear to be off the radar at the moment. So Bayern Munich, Marcus Rashford... Ben Jacobs this morning saying that Bayern Munich and Barcelona still remain an option for Marcus Rashford. Rob Dawson is saying Bayern Munich have asked about the financial conditions of a deal for Marcus Rashford, and Manchester United have basically relayed a deal that wouldn't be beyond what Bayern Munich could pay. However, this is coming in from Rob Dawson, Marcus Rashford hasn't shown any willingness to reduce his wages at the moment. So look, there may well be another option here to move Marcus Rashford on. There is a story coming out about Sancho we'll talk about in a moment, but the more interest in Marcus Rashford, the better. Barcelona waiting till the end of the window to maybe take him is not good for anybody. So if Bayern Munich want him, then it should create 2 things. One, Barcelona need to move a little bit quicker, or make their mind up a little bit quicker. And 2, it's a very good option for Marcus Rashford to go and play for Bayern Munich. I mean, Harry Kane plays for Bayern Munich. They win the league. He gets in the England squad. It's a massive opportunity. So hopefully there's something in this. But as per Rob Dawson, he's saying that Marcus Rashford has shown no willingness to change his wage demands, which is a bit contradictory in relation to what we have heard is that Rashford would take a pay cut to go to Barcelona because it's his dream. Is he therefore saying I wouldn't take a pay cut to go to Bayern Munich? I think there's a growing movement in our fan base that would say Marcus Rashford is very lucky to have teams like Barcelona and Bayern Munich looking at him in the first place. But he also has 3 years of a contract on 300 grand a week at Man United that we stupidly gave him. So I think that what I would say about this is it's the same old issue where we have a player on a huge wage that he doesn't deserve. that we gave, and now we're trying to move him on. And this is why you need to be very careful about handing out big wages in the future, because you end up getting stuck with players if they don't work out. And how many players actually do work out at Manchester United? So I think Bayern Munich is a decent option. And I would say this morning, there's probably more chance of him going to Bayern Munich than there was yesterday morning, because Luis Diaz was one of the options. He's not anymore. And it looks like Nico Williams will still go to Barcelona. So it could still be an option. But I think the big barrier here is going to be that Marcus Rashford wants to go and play for Barcelona. And my big issue is that, I mean, we may as well say it's Monday today. We may as well say it's Monday today, because nothing's happening between now and Monday in relation to Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho or Anthony. So they're all rocking up to Carrington with their boot bag and a smile. And I think that's absolutely pitiful on the part of the club, that we're actually putting through our manager and fan base through this yet again. It angers me more than signings. I expected the signings to be slow, even though they needed to be quick. I expected we wouldn't have a striker for pre-season. I expected we wouldn't have a goalkeeper. You know, you expect it with United, but I didn't expect Amorim to publicly basically say, I don't want Anthony, I don't want Rashford, I don't want Garnacho. I didn't expect him to have to put up with them all being back in training for pre-season. I think it's bloody embarrassing. I think it's pitiful, and I think it's a massive indicator of just how crap this club is, because that is ridiculous. Amorim can't do any more than, I don't want Garnacho, I don't want Anthony, I don't want Rashford. It's public knowledge. And here we are at the start of a shiny new season that's all going to be new. And they're walking in through the door, and you must be sat there in your office going, what the fuck? I've literally put my reputation on the line not wanting these players. And here they are walking back in with a smile on their face. And these prats who work for social media are doing photos going, Garner, can we get a photo? Can we go? You know, this is all coming in at the early next week. And I just find it embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. But look, hopefully Bayern Munich are in for Rashford, but whether he's gonna bite on that, I don't know. He waited all of January for Barcelona and it didn't happen. He might wait all of this for that. Easy Now says, get out Garnacho. In relation to Garnacho, very quiet. Very quiet at the moment. The most likely destination is still Chelsea, however that works. But there was a story this morning that came in from Matt Law, who is very close to Chelsea. Daily Telegraph, Matt Law, Chelsea correspondent effectively. Chelsea want to start next season with as many as 9 attackers in their first team squad. 9 attackers. So Chelsea want to start next season with as many as 9 attackers in their first team squad. Manchester United also want to start the season with 9 attackers in their squad, but that's in German. That's 9 in German, which means no. No, but seriously, 9 attackers Chelsea want. So Garnacho could still end up at Chelsea, but that, I think, will be... I worry a little bit about that. I don't have any inside information. I've not heard any journalists talk about it, but I worry about that, because if Chelsea have tapped Garnacho up and Garnacho wants to go to Chelsea, much the same as Rashford with Barcelona, I will wait until the end of the window and you will give me my move because you'll get desperate. What if Garnacho does the same and goes, I will wait until the end of this window and you will accept what Chelsea offer, otherwise you're going to have to keep me. Player power, it worries me a little bit, because I just don't, you know, if Chelsea have said we can't afford you but we want you, we need to get the price down. What if Chelsea say we want you on loan? I mean, is it beyond the realms of possibility that Garnacho ends up going on loan to Chelsea on the last day of the window? I just don't know. It's very quiet around Garnacho at the moment. Ashley Morrissey, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much. Wednesday, and still the same stories on Mbeumo. More evidence. We still the same thing. Joke for 13 years. It's sad for us as United fans, says Ray. Have Ineos thought that they can walk into the wrong decision, walking past our first, second and third choices very slowly, I'm seeing, says Frank. Gyokeres and no goalkeeper for 70 million, or Emmy and Watkins for 70 million, says Christopher Milner. Gyokeres, I think. Fans can't see why they don't want any of other players. Fans can't see they don't want any of other players. Robert, you need to communicate that better. I normally can read what you mean. I don't know what that means. Nedas says, it's my 21st birthday today. I appreciate you and the whole community. Happy birthday to you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Carmine, hope you're good. Welcome to the Members Club. Patrick Lynch is in the house. He says, I've got a feeling that Rashford would lower his wages for Barcelona, but saying right now he won't lower them scares off any other suitors. 1 Inch Wonder says, can't be accused of being bad at selling if you don't sell. Genius from Barada, Wilcox and the rest of the A-team. We're cooking and playing 4D chess. And Arsenal are in for Agliakush from Monaco, whose agent is the same for Gyokeres. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think this has come from agent, says Shane. Could be. I see what you mean there. Agliakush, French, Monaco, L'Equipe, etc., etc. So Jimmy has given 5 memberships this morning. Thank you very much for that. Legend of the chat. And blows my mind they can wipe thousands off the workforce with a pen stroke but can't do anything to the players. Yeah, well, look, I've heard a few people say this over the last few days. If your name's Janet and John and you're on 30k a week, 30k a year, and you've worked at the club for years, so Jim will sack you in a heartbeat. If you're a 200 grand a week player who does fuck all for the club and is on a long-term contract, he can't touch you. Yeah. Ruthless Radcliffe, unless you're actually a player in the first team squad. Morning, Mark. What's the latest on Mbeumo? Says Chris. Thank you very much for that. Look, on Mbeumo, I don't want to be talking to you about this, but other people sort of dictate that we do. Just before I went live there's a Man United website putting it out there that we're putting a third bid in. Guesswork. We might put a third bid in today. And if it happens, they can go, we're in the know. Guesswork. Complete and utter guesswork. Romano, with with Romano's latest update is United are pushing hard, trying to work through a deal, and they're confident a deal can still be done. So a third bid could go in today. It could go in tomorrow. It could go in Friday. It could go in Monday. We could get here we go today, tomorrow, Friday, next week. At the end of the day, I can do the same. Oh, what's that? Hello? Oh, hello, Omar. Third bid going in tomorrow. Okay, I'll tweet it. Nobody knows when it's going to happen, and I don't know why people have to guess. This is why so many people look silly from last week, saying that the deal was done. And loads of people believe them. And that's basically a week ago. And the deal's not done. The truth is on Mbeumo, nobody really knows. And the people who will know will be David Ornstein, who broke the story about Mbeumo, or Fabrizio Romano, who has had numerous updates on that. There's nobody else going to break this story. And that's the way I look at it. So I'm waiting. Like last week, at the end of the week, people were going, deal done, this is that, I've got inside information. Friday night, and Ornstein, second bid rejected. Now, it's not been rejected, actually. I'm still right, it's deal done. It's just the technicalities of the deal. It's not been rejected. And lo and behold, it has been rejected. So the third bid's going to go in. I think it will be 60 million plus 5, which it was always going to be. I think they'll accept that. I think the delay is United are fully aware of what I and you are aware here. They know when they pay 60 million, they're basically giving Brentford what they wanted from day one, and they've wasted 5 or 6 weeks. And I think United are a bit wary of trying to come out of this with a win. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do a deal for 58 plus 7. And avoid paying the 60. I don't think we want to pay 60, because I think if we pay 60, it makes us look weak. So even if we can save a couple of million, remember our last offer was 55 plus 7.5. I wouldn't be surprised if we did 57.5 plus 8, or even 55 plus 10, or something like that. I think we will. If we pay 60, we've got him. But I wouldn't be surprised, because I don't know, if the final deal isn't 60, but there's a lot more. We might do 55 plus 10. And everyone will go, oh, Barada, brilliance. But you're still going to pay 65, aren't you, at some point? So But honestly, on Mbeumo, no one's got a bloody clue what's going on. Look at Fabrizio Romano's face. He hasn't been told anything. United are negotiating this down now on pride. I think it's about pride now. I think it's about not paying the 60. You know what? It's a PR exercise, isn't it? I think if you're Chelsea, Liverpool, this is done weeks ago. But Man United are just trying to now do a deal. It's ego. It's Brentford, we want 60. Against Man United, we don't want to pay 60. And it's such small amounts of money. But I think that's what's going on here. I think it's ego. And look, pre-season hasn't started yet. But if he's not in for pre-season, we're jeopardising his pre-season, Amorim's pre-season for ego. So surely it will happen this week. But I'm not going to sit here and say it will, because we just don't know. Generating Faith says it was my 26th birthday yesterday. Love the United stand. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody, this morning. They promised Amorim a good summer after a crap January, and they're letting him down. What they're doing, I'd walk if I was Amorim. The club is a joke, says Anders. He can't threaten to walk again, though, can he, really? I got 50p says, we wasted so much time trying to sign Mbeumo that we have no time to sign a decent striker as they've all been taken and are not good enough. There's still strikers out there. I mean, Gyokeres could still be an option, as we said this morning. Watkins is an option. Mitrovic, I don't know. Liverpool just rejected the bid from Bayern. Yeah, we spoke about that, Rory. So hopefully that means that Bayern will take more of a look at Rashford. I read that United is talking to Leao. Is that right? No. Zion, we think we can say categorically we're not talking to Leao, we're not talking to Semenyo, we're not talking to any wingers at all. Maybe it's just me, but I thought it was irresponsible for Amorim to bury Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony when he did. Unnecessary friction, says Keel. Ashley Morrissey, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much for that. Okay, let's talk about another potential player leaving Manchester United. Actually, it's come out in the last few minutes. I don't know how good this source is. Eurosport. Bloody hell, I haven't heard from them in ages. Eurosport Italy. I used to watch Eurosport a lot when I was younger. Does Eurosport even exist then? Yeah, it does. Does Eurosport still exist? Anyway, Jadon Sancho is now willing to reduce his wage demands to join Juventus. It is starting to sound, dare I say it, a little bit more optimistic around Sancho and Juventus. It feels like that's where he wants to go. I know there was some interest from Napoli. There was some interest from Fenerbahce. He could have gone to Chelsea. Dortmund don't want him. But it's starting to feel like Sancho, Juventus could be a thing. He'd be mad not to do this, by the way. He obviously can't do it in the Premier League. That's been proven. But look at what Scott McTominay, Chris Smalling, Mkhitaryan, players have gone to Italy and done really, really well, when not necessarily doing that well in the Premier League. So I think that this is a clever move for Sancho. So can it happen? Well, he's going to have to lower his wage demands. There's something going on with Sancho that we don't know, because he has a year left on his contract on around 300 grand a week. Why would you take a pay cut to go to Juventus so that Man United can get a transfer fee? It doesn't make any sense. So I could earn 300 grand for another year, but I'll go to Juventus on 150 grand and sign a 3-4 year contract. And then Man United can have a transfer fee when he could go on loan to Juventus for a year and then sign for them and get a load more money. So it just feels like there's something not quite right around this. And my assumption is that he will end up going on loan. But Man United are pushing for a transfer, and maybe we'll never know. Maybe we'll never know what's going on, but it feels like something is starting to happen with Juventus, and it feels like there is some sort of transfer involved in this, even though it makes no sense, because there is also a story that came in from the Mirror that Juventus have stepped up their attempts to sign Sancho and are said to have offered Man United 3 different players in a bid to strike an audacious swap deal. Those three players would be Vlahovic, Weah and Douglas Luiz, which again makes absolutely no sense, because Jadon Sancho isn't worth that much money with 1 year left on his contract. So I'll say again, I don't understand the Sancho stuff, but suffice to say, the news that's been coming out for the last few weeks is that this would be a permanent transfer. Sancho would probably have to take a wage cut. And apparently some people are willing to offer us players for it as well. So I think that let's just wait and see on that. But, you know, it would be a huge positive to get a transfer fee for Jadon Sancho and remove him from the club. Club have a 1-year option on Sancho, apparently, suggests George. Well, we do. We do have a 1-year option. You're absolutely correct. So Sancho's contract runs out in a year, but Man United can option another year, which makes it feel like you've got a 2-year contract, which is maybe what we're threatening him with. But remember, if we activate the further year, he gets the same wage, doesn't he? I think that's how it works. So, okay, Man United might be saying to Sancho, you either go for a transfer fee or we activate the further year. But he could go, okay, better start playing me then because I'm on 300 grand a week for the next 2 years. So, yeah, we do have that option and that might be an explanation for it. But it's a little bit, I must admit, I'm still a little bit confused about it. Club have a 1-year option. That's from Just George. I was so excited when we signed Cunha. I thought we were actually going to move quickly for a change. Now I just want to punch myself in the face, says Jeremy. I'm convinced we're paying Sancho off, says Jacob. Look, the thing about Jadon Sancho is as well, you can't believe what you hear. Sancho's going to Chelsea with an obligation to buy for 25 million. Not a bad deal. 8 months later, actually, it's not an obligation to buy. He can come back for 5 million. So, I don't know. Jerry says Mark is obsessed with Gyokeres. He doesn't want United. Mark, he doesn't want United. Get over it. No, not obsessed, Jerry. He would be my priority, the same as he is Amorim's. But what happened last night is that L'Equipe said that Gyokeres to Arsenal was advancing to the next stage and getting closer. And then this morning, Fabrizio Romano has said that's not the case. So it's just an update on the situation. And that situation massively impacts on us because we basically are waiting to see what happens with Gyokeres and Sesko. Because if Sesko goes to Arsenal, we'll have another go on Gyokeres. If Gyokeres goes to Arsenal, we'll have to look at something else. So it's not obsession. It's just directly attributed to what we're going to do in the transfer market. Secured tickets to the season opener, Arsenal at Old Trafford, says Benny. First time watching a game there. So excited, but dreading it all the same. Mate, honestly, long way to go before we get to there, but I wouldn't be surprised if we won that game. And people are going to laugh their heads off, but how many opening day... I remember Brentford beating Arsenal when they'd just been promoted first game of the season. It was a Friday night game. You never know what's going to happen on the first game of the season. You can catch a team cold. Atmosphere will be good. Just, you know, we might beat Arsenal first game of the season and then be bottom half of the table by the end of October. So, yeah. It's probably Radcliffe thinking he will save a few weeks of wages by stalling the deal on Mbeumo. Well, we have traditionally done that. We can't deny it. And Ryan Joyce says, if we don't get a top striker, I can't see how we're going to improve next season. La Familia says, why does FFP just apply to us? No way Chelsea, City, Liverpool generate that much more than us. Also, if you have to pick one, goalkeeper or striker, well, I want both, so I'll say striker. The reason that Liverpool, City and Chelsea generate more money than us, mate, is because they're in Europe and they're probably generating £100 million of revenue more than us a year at the moment. That's considerable when our revenue is 700 million a year. You know, that's about a 15% increase year on year in revenue. Plus Chelsea have got a rich owner who wants to pump money in. So they do things like selling their women's team for 200 million so they can get 200 million into their club. And we've got huge debt. So I completely understand how Chelsea, City and Liverpool generate more money than us and spend more money than us. They don't have the debt and they have owners that want to get the money into the club. And, yeah. They promised Amorim a good summer after a crap January and they're letting him down. What are they doing? I've done that one from... there. Oh, God. Darren, you remember for 22 months, and that's why I'm going to read it. But I'm going to read it, try not to throw up, and then move on. Would you take Calvert-Lewin and Tagliafico and Callum Wilson on a free? No, no, and no. Absolutely no. No. But doesn't mean that our owners wouldn't do that, of course. They could still look at doing something like that. Let me just have a quick look at this. Somebody just sent it me. Do you think we'll sell anybody before pre-season? No. Absolutely not. No. Pre-season starts on Monday. It's basically going to... Well, it's Thursday tomorrow. Absolutely not. No, not a chance. Apparently there's more talks going on between Juventus and Manchester United today over Sancho and this potential swap deal. I don't want Vlahovic. I think it'd be an expensive mistake. I would take Douglas Luiz out of those clubs if it was down to me. Yeah. So no, I wouldn't be going near that at all. I would imagine I don't like to do like predictive stuff, but I can't predict on Mbeumo. But if I'm doing predictive stuff, I would say there'll be some big interview with Diego Leon and some photos before we sign Mbeumo anyway. I would expect that today or tomorrow, just to fill up another day. Obviously, he's very welcome at the football club and we're very happy to have him, but I would expect something like that to be happening before we sign Mbeumo. I mean, look, I don't really understand what the hold-up is from Brentford's side, but I don't think they're going to. I mean, I don't know. I've got to say I'm bored of the Mbeumo deal. Is that bad? I'm bored to death of it, and I don't know why people are making stuff up about third bids or deals done or anything like that, because it's not even the story to do. If you've got a source, you're going to get far more interaction if you actually say, I've heard this about a striker or a goalkeeper. I mean, Mbeumo, I don't know. Good player, but United, as per usual, have sucked the excitement out of it completely. I mean, I remember that Monday night when Ornstein broke it, and it was absolute buzz. And we seem to have some really big stories for 48 hours after that. And you felt like at the start of June, this is going to be really exciting, this transfer window. And that, if somebody had said to me when Ornstein broke that story, that we'd be sat here on the 2nd of July and that would be the big story. Nothing's changed since then and we still haven't signed him. I'd have gone, you're having a bloody laugh. Yet again, we've lost a whole month of the transfer window. Like June just doesn't exist. It's gone. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I don't think August really exists in the transfer window because the season starts then. So we've got this one period of time. If we ended up with Cunha, Mbeumo, Watkins, Luis and Martinez, how would you rate that window, says Patrick, assuming we can get rid of who we need? Good one. Cunha, Mbeumo, Watkins, Luis and Martinez. I mean, 3 ex-Villa players would be hilarious. I mean, at the end of the day, you're buying a Wolves player, a Brentford player and 3 ex-Villa players. Is that an 8? Can't be. Is it a 7? Can't be. Is it a 6? Could be. I'd probably give it a 6 or a 5, dependent on sales. If we don't sell anyone, I'd give it a 5. If we sell all the players we need to sell and we buy them, I'd probably say a 6, 6.5. Juve now have Moani and David, so wouldn't be able to get a good deal on Vlahovic. I think he's the right age. I really don't rate Vlahovic. I don't. I think Vlahovic is massively overrated. And look, I appreciate that's a divisive take, but I really don't rate Vlahovic like everyone else does. He's been around for years, and I just don't rate him. I think he's decent, but I think there's a big reason no big club goes anywhere near him. And yeah. It's my 18th birthday today, Oliver. Happy birthday, mate. Hope you have a good one. Fraser says, MU milked 4 years. Have to be willing to walk away. Okay. And do you think Rashford to Bayern has legs as Liverpool rejected Diaz to Bayern? Barca and Bayern were in for Diaz first, then went for someone else, says Shaunak. It depends. It depends. I think Bayern, Rashford's a good deal for everybody. But if Rashford wants Barcelona, the ego will get in the way. I actually think Bayern Munich would be a better move for him because I think he'd play more football in the position that he actually plays as a winger. But the ego of Barcelona, playing for Barcelona, might get in the way. The dream of playing for Barcelona, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching this morning. Sorry it was a little bit later than usual. But, oh no, sorry, I'm not finishing yet. I'm going to come back on this. It's only fair. Will Deal says, Vlahovic scores many goals. He's much better than Rasmus for sure. Oh, so? So we're just going to buy any striker because they're better than Rasmus? I don't know. I want the best. I like Vlahovic, not for Man United though, says Rice. He's not overrated. Nobody rates him anymore for a reason, says Noah. Tell us the reason. He was the best at Fiorentina. Juventus went for the gamble and it didn't pay off, says Sean. Stay away from Serie A strikers, says Frisky. And our window is like a balloon with a hole in it, says Fez. Vinny, thank you very much for your super chat. Savage says Xerxes better than Vlahovic. I'd rather have Vlahovic than Watkins, says Rafe. Yeah, he's a divisive player, Vlahovic, definitely. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. We're back at 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock tonight. Appreciate you, as always, if you watch live. If not, get your comments in, of course. Sorry I was a little bit late today. Obviously, I told you why, but I forgot to tell you that last night. So apologies for anyone that inconvenienced. Take care. I'll speak to you all in a bit.